Hi there, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about negativity and negative friends. You know what I'm talking about. Now, we're all different, and we've got all different personalities. Some of us are more positive, some of us are sort of in the middle, and some of us are very, very negative. And you probably got some friends who are pretty negative, or had to deal with some friends who are pretty negative. I'm not talking about the fact that something negative has happened in their life and they're trying to struggle through it, being on the struggle bus, as they call it. For example, their marriage might have broken down, they lost their job, they could have their parent die. These are things that they're going to be pretty down about, and it's okay to feel negative and depressed. And you be their friend and you help them. I'm just talking about general negativity. These friends are actually quite hard work. I find them really hard work. And as that little saying is, that when you talk to them too and they're complaining and whining and you're trying to help them, they will find a problem to every solution. Whereas a positive person will find a solution to every problem. They have a completely different way of thinking, and they whine a lot, they complain a lot, and they don't count their blessings and their misery guts, and they whinge and whine. That you can tell I've had quite a few of them. They have a very victim mentality too. It's always happening to them, you know. So they'd go into the hospital and complain about their foot when someone's dying of cancer. It's kind of a very different way of thinking, and it's a very negative way of thinking, and you might find it quite difficult. You can lose friends who are negative, but mostly you will probably you yourself will walk away. I could only take so much. I had one situation where I really loved this person. They're so freaking negative and negative about everything, and it was just whine, 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 like for a whole hour. And it was never a question about how are you. It was mostly they didn't really care that much how I was. I was just there to listen. And in the end, I was starting to be sick, actually be physically sick after the phone calls, and I decided that it wasn't a good thing for me, and I'll pull back and just said, like, I can't cope right now with you. And they didn't want to change, so there you go. They might come back later and realise that they've just scared everybody off, but I don't know. You have to make a choice that's good for you, how much negativity you can cope with. The other way to manage them is to only do it when you can sort of not have to do it for very long. So if you have to ring, you ring when you've got to be somewhere, like when you ring at 2:30 and you say, I've got to go. So you still be their friend and you listen, but you make it shorter. If you want to meet for something, don't get them to come to your house. If they're going through a really negative phase, meet them at a coffee shop, then you can leave, because they come to your house, they might be there for 6 hours. It's not that we don't love them. We do love them. They drive you nuts. And they don't like solution. They just want to marinate in their negativity, and they don't want you to find a better way. They really don't want that, because then they'd have to be positive. I think you can find people who are like this in your friendship groups. Unfortunately, sometimes we have them also in our family. It's important for you to limit your time with them. That's what I'm trying to say. If you want to stay in it, you've got to limit your time. And if you're having a really down time and you're overwhelmed, this is not the time to go out and have coffee with them. Just push it up to next week when you're feeling a little bit more that you can cope. Because often your life might be even worse than theirs, and they're complaining to you, which seems ridiculous, but it happens. They will be negative about everything. They'll be negative about their life. They'll be negative about their family, about friends, about work. Often you will find when you first meet this friend, they talking to you about work and having trouble at work, and these people at work, and then they leave and they go somewhere else, and now they're having trouble at work. And it took me a few turns at this to get it, and then I realised, oh no, it's not it's not work, it's you. Negative people will not see what they're like. They always project it onto other people. They will not be positive with you either about your stuff. So if you're starting a new job, they'll probably tell you you shouldn't have left. They don't actually bring up lots of happiness in what's happening with you. And they can be I found they can be a little jealous, like they don't want you to be successful, they don't want you to be happy. If you get married before them or get in a relationship before them, they don't really like it. If you get the new house, they act like they like it, but they don't really like it. Negative people are very draining. I find them draining. You probably do too. If you've been dumped by them, because they can do that, because if you become too difficult and start to press their buttons in the sense of saying to them, you know, shouldn't be so negative, you try and be positive. After a while, if you're not feeding into their negativity, they will actually walk away or dump you. Now, that's not your fault. It's because you're not playing the game. Like, we've got to be negative here. You've got to feel sorry for me. You've got to give me lots of sympathy. That's what we do. And if you stop doing that and you start to get a little bit like, well, you should try and be more positive and think more positively and count your blessings. They don't want to be with someone like that. They want to be with someone actually who will listen to them and even have some more negative stuff to say. And it's sort of up to you. I find I often get sick too, and I've got a lot of illnesses, negative people, and you'll hear all about those. And they're chronic or they'll just get a big illness out of the blue. Losing them is sad because you'll love them. I really loved this person, but she was so negative in the end. Even my son said to me, he said, you're just going to have a break from her. She's making you sick. Because she got off the phone and she felt great because she's unloaded it all, and I felt dreadful. If you get in those situations, it's not a bad idea sometimes to have a salt bath or go and have a shower or go for a walk to blow it out. We do have to be with people when they go through their difficult parts, and they will be somewhat negative, and you just don't see it like they're negative. It's just that they're in a negative space now and they're going through some really tough stuff. So they're not maybe negative people in their nature, but it's really, really hard for them, and you want to be sympathetic and understanding and show great compassion to them, but they need to also pull out. I feel that you probably do have some negative people around, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. Make sure that you protect yourself a little bit. If you're sick or if you've got a headache, it's not the time to ring. And if they ring you and you're not well, just get off the phone. I mean, I'm not saying fake it, but I try to do a negative conversation once on the phone with a migraine, and even though I said I got a migraine, they just kept on and on and on. They didn't hear that. You need to protect yourself in that way. I wouldn't really go into trying to cheer them up too much. Sometimes it backfires almost. It's better just to listen. They just want someone to listen and made them a cup of coffee or something. They don't want to be in a positive place. They don't want to think positively. They want to stay in that deep, dark place. And there is a darkness around that. We feel so dark. It's like, yeah, we can talk about some negative stuff because that's real life, right? But then we're going to talk also about something good that happened or something you're planning or somewhere you're going to go. And also, you'll find the negative people don't laugh much when they're telling you the negative stuff. Like, I tend to laugh sometimes because it's so bad. I just laugh because, like, what else are you going to do? They don't have that because they don't actually have a positive, optimistic nature. So it's all doom and gloom and doom and gloom all the time. So there's not much laughter when you're out with them, I don't find. You can stay with them, but you have to limit it. And if you find it gets unhealthy, you might need to either take time out or just break off the friendship. If it just continues and you're getting sick, like I got started to get sick, or you're dreading the phone call, you might have to seriously consider what you want to do. You can also manage it, like I said earlier, as well. The thing that you have to be very, very careful of is that it doesn't sort of go on you. When I was teaching, I remember I had a really dear friend. I really loved her, but she was very negative. And before school, I'd pop in and she'd make me a little coffee in the classroom before the kids came. But by the time I got out of there, my whole mood had changed. Like when I went to school, I loved teaching. I was so excited to see the kids. They were like my little family. Go and have coffee with her and come out, and I'd actually feel drained, and I actually felt she was sort of like so negative that it kind of affected me. What I did in the end was I kept the relationship, but I didn't go and have coffee in the morning. I could go in after school and have coffee because the kids are gone now, but I had to work out that dynamic. And she always remained negative. She was a loving, nice person in many ways, but she has like a negative outlook on life, and it was always when she'd been complaining. And so I just found that I sort of was like a sponge. I took it in, and it affected the rest of my day. And that's the other thing you've got to understand, that if you're with someone who's negative, they will actually affect you. You might not even want it, but you'll walk away and you don't feel like that was really great. You're just like, oh man, that was hard work. And that's the other thing, is they're kind of hard work. If you lose a friend who's negative, you have to decide whether you want to try and fix it or not, or just let them go. If you choose not to be with someone, you can just have some time out and then maybe decide whether you're going to try again. I tried with this person and I told her what it was. I can't handle your negativity. Like several times, many times actually, but she just wouldn't stop. She's like a dog with a bone, and off she went. And in the end, I stepped away. We might be friends later, and I would love that. But these people aren't healthy for you. That's the end of the story. That all that negative energy coming bashing at you isn't healthy for you. So here we are, another friend, how to lose. I don't know. There's so many things to learn down here, isn't there? So I hope you have a positive week, and do keep positive. And even when you're with them, just sort of as you leave, just think of it all, leaving all that behind, and then going into your car or walking down the mall or whatever you call it. And that way you can actually let it go. So I hope you have a very positive week, and I hope you start looking at some of your friends, the positive ones and the negative ones, which are actually different from the ones who are going through something really hard. That's quite different. Don't put them in the negative ones, because they're not actually negative, they're just having a really hard time. Sending you lots of love, and I hope your friendships are getting better and better.